This is the M850i, everyone, and I like it, but it's full of flaws. This key is too big and most of the stuff are not as useful as you would think. The interior is a tad claustrophobic. The interior is beautiful, but the 1 Series looks pretty much the same. The rear seats are useful if you're about this tall, and you can't get it with the sunroof, which is quite disappointing. And if you put your phone in the wireless charging socket, if you put a USB there, it's a bit difficult to take out. That's about it. I don't really have anything else bad to say. Is it better than an M8, or is it better value than an M8? Let's drive it and find out. So the M850i has a 4.4 litre bi-turbo V8 engine, pretty much the same as in the M8 Comp. 523 horsepower, 750 newtons. They say 0 to 100 in under 4 seconds. Let's see how it feels. Oh, and there we are. Ooh, very quick. Very quick. And very soft suspension. 8-speed ZF automatic gearbox with paddle shifters, of course, and it's very quick, very responsive. Let me pop it back into comfort mode and relax. In the 1970s, BMW ended things with Mercedes-Benz designer Paul Brock, who also designed the BMW Turbo concept car. That thing looked amazing. BMW wanted to try something different and crazy, which of course led them to Lamborghini. Together they created the angel known as the BMW M1. Sadly, things didn't work out between Beamer and Lambo, and the M1 was scrapped in 1981. In the not too far future, after some success with models like the E24 BMW 6 Series, Beamer started dreaming of something mad once again. Something big, something powerful, and something very unnecessary. And in 1984, when Klaus Luth was just about done with the E32 7 Series, he decided he wanted something bonkers, and hence the E31 BMW 850i was born. It used the same V12 engine as the 750i. It was a major hit, but unfortunately after a few years the world changed and the 8 Series was no more. BMW tried to keep the recipe alive with the 6 Series over the years, but it failed to capture the magic. Thankfully, in 2019, BMW decided that it was time to bring the 8 back, and here we are today. So the main reason why I say the M850i is better than the M8 Comp is one of many reasons. Firstly, it's a whole R1,000,000 less than the M8 Competition. It's got a little bit less power. That has about 625, this has about 523, but this car sounds better. It's much more comfortable. The suspension is really soft, even in Sport Plus mode. It's very nice and very soft and comfortable, which is what you would like from a GT car. From a sports car perspective, steering is nice and sharp. Like we said, sounds amazing. Throttle response is excellent when you put it into the different modes, and the turbo spool up and get you going very fast. 0 to 100, I'm sure we did that in about 3.6, 3.5 seconds. It felt ridiculously fast. It feels light for a 2-ton car. It really does not feel heavy at all, which is surprising because I haven't really driven a big car that disguises the weight as well as this car does. They really did an excellent job with it. So what exactly makes the M8 Competition a whole R1,000,000 more than the M850i? Is it perhaps the completely different interior? Oh no, wait. It's exactly the same, just with an uglier gear shifter. You can't even get it in carbon fiber, it's just pretty much leather. Okay, maybe it's slightly more aggressive styling and wheels. But that said, the M850i is not exactly a potato looking thing, now is it? Can't be the engine. It's pretty much the same thing as we've said, with just a bit of tweaks to the software. Same gearbox too. So besides a little more carbon fiber, different steering, suspension and exhaust, which doesn't sound as good as the M850i in my opinion, and a 2-wheel drive mode,
it's pretty much the same as the M850i. And let's be 100% realistic here. Do these changes really justify a 60% price jump? That's one question. And the next is, do you really need more than the M850i? If you don't care about having the full M brand, is it really necessary?
I mentioned in the start that the interior is lovely, but you can get the same interior pretty much on any BMW you buy. And it's a good interior, it's just when you're spending a certain amount of money, you want to feel a little bit different than a guy who's buying a 1 Series, if you get what I mean. And BMW's new electronic speedometers, I don't like the way the dials are, the analog, you can choose between different modes. They put the speed on the left and the revs on the right, and they both go like this, so there's no one way, it like curves and goes back into the other way, and that's a bit confusing. I guess you have to get used to it, but I feel it's a bit busy, not my favorite, although the heads-up display is excellent. It's a practical GT car overall. The boot is very big, although the opening is a little bit awkward. The rear seats are good for extra space. I wouldn't say they are good or comfortable for fitting passengers, because they are not. There's barely any space at all. But if you're, let's say, 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 or 60 years old and you can afford this car, it's brilliant for any age. Personally, I feel, unless you have kids, then don't buy this. So I really do think it's better than the M8, because it's a GT car that's more of GT and less sport. Because even though the M8 is more powerful, more aggressive, and at the end of the day, it's still a big heavy car. So in my personal choice, if I had the money and I had the choice between the M8 Comp and this, I would buy this, because you've got identical performance and a much softer, much more comfortable car. But if I wanted an M car, if I needed it, I'd buy the M5 or M5 Competition. Reason being, you've got the M8's performance, but you've got more practicality.
I personally thought I was looking at it the wrong way at first. I mean, almost every BMW needs the maddest M version to finish the lineup, don't they? The benchmark to which all competitors look at and shiver, right? But then I thought again, the M850i is meant to be a proper, comfortable GT car with big power to waft around continents. And the M850i does that brilliantly, with still managing to capture some of that sports car feeling with the way it handles, which is excellent. With that said, I do feel that it is at the point where if any further stiffness was added to the car, it would compromise the ride quality. And by doing that, it would become less of an excellent GT car and more of just a good sports car.